Here in Flagstaff, there are many beauties that our small town has to offer. However, there is one major issue, and that's housing. Many students have expressed their concerns with being able to afford and find housing here as a student.
Flagstaff is home to many students at Northern Arizona University where they come from all over the place. Students live on and off campus across the town, but it comes with a lot of issues. Students have found it hard to find and afford housing with increasing prices due to inflation over the last couple of years. According to FlyHomes, Flagstaff has a higher cost of living than the national average by about 113% compared to other cities in the nation. Consumer prices and wages have increased everywhere in the country the last few years, making it hard to afford for an average citizen. Flagstaff is no exception. A few NAU students share their thoughts about the housing crisis in Flagstaff.
I think the main thing is that just like housing is incredibly expensive in like all of Flagstaff, and it makes it an issue for people who are maybe like, if you're becoming an upperclassman, it's harder to decide like, do I stay in the dorms and, pay a little less, or do I decide to go spend money on an apartment and pay just like a little more?
My rent is a little over $1,700. I do live with my girlfriend, so we split that, and we pay anywhere between kind of like 800 to like 850 each. And I consider that myself a little lucky because I know that's still less than what some people are paying for a room. But it's still a lot, especially like me when you're still a student. And you're still working like part time, you're not really getting huge paychecks. Um, I still think it's too high, and like I said, like especially for the place I'm living in, that's like super small. It's like I don't have a ton of space.
I mean, in some ways, I think it's kind of gotten worse over the time I've been here. I feel like the prices have always increased, and they've tried to build new places, but they just haven't built as many as they needed to. So people have had to find other places, and because of such a high demand, it turns into people raising the prices, and it just turns into a whole kind of debacle in a way.
While pricing plays a big factor when it comes to housing, it is also finding a place to stay in is another issue, both on and off campus. In addition, most of the dorms are old and run down and could use some remodeling to make more room for students.
In terms of things the university can do in terms of housing, I definitely think maybe remodeling some of the spaces and trying to update certain dorms. There are definitely ones that are more outdated than others. Like honors is fine. There are other dorms that are completely fine, but I think like just building more dorms in general.
In 2022, the Flagstaff City Council created a 10-year housing plan to make housing more affordable by cutting the cost in half over the next 10 years. On their page, it says, the intent of this plan is to help individuals and families achieve housing affordability for those who want to continue to call Flagstaff their home. This applies to students as well, but it is still a long way to go to achieving this goal for citizens of Flagstaff. While housing is expensive, it creates a hard situation, especially for students to afford housing and go to school at the same time.
It's an expensive place to live and survive too. Like on top of, having to pay for rent is one thing, and then you have to be able to afford groceries and be able to feed yourself. I still even struggle with that. Sometimes in some months it's rough. But I don't know. I would just say it's not right. I know, especially college students, not all of us have the luxury to be able to like work all the time. Some of us are just full-time students or just at school.
It'll be interesting to see how Flagstaff handles this issue in the coming years. Connor Olson, JLS 250.